Yeah.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
Hello?
Hello.
Welcome to the graphic.
Doing a little audio test here. How's it sounding? Everybody audible? Everybody good?
Yeah, I had to move my microphone. Is it normal?
It looks
Penis.
normal on my end.
I am speaking English.
I feel
think
like
we're all
the
good.
sound waves are all rearranged in my room. I can feel it different.
Twitch added stories. I see Jeff Gersman's story is on
Yeah.
my For You page.
They added that
The
a while
fuck?
ago. I don't know what it is. I've never looked at
Clicking
one,
it.
so I
What
think
did
it's
Jeff
just like
Gersman
it's a
post?
clip that you show people. Like it's just like alerts people to a clip of yours, I guess, or something.
That's the Japanese localization, but in America they just call it Paper Gersman.
That's a thinker. Welcome to a new show,
Nice.
which may or may not have more than one episode. I don't know. This isn't exactly a format with too many legs because eventually I'll just get so good at analyzing cards that it won't even be a challenge anymore, and then it won't be interesting to watch. But this is the new show, Sucks or Fucks. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe second to third to the worst name for a show. I couldn't even put it in the title of the stream, so
It's all your fault.
yeah, really bad SEO on this one, but that's all right. When have we ever
You s-
cared about that?
You started out by asking. You referred to it as Sucks or Fucks.
I did.
And I made this Google sheet entitled it "Fucks or Sucks," and that's how we get the ball rolling.
Yeah. So to explain briefly, it's not a very hard concept. And if you are anywhere close to where I'm at with how you use YouTube, if you're a fan at all of any card games whatsoever, you probably get recommended at least one video on YouTube a day that's like Hearthstone Pro guesses power level of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, or Magic the Gathering Pro who has never seen a Yu-Gi-Oh card ever guesses how strong they are. And I honestly, I enjoy watching that format. It's very fun, especially when the person guessing is like really good at a card game and they're like trying to analyze a game that they don't play. That being said, so I would say if I had to rate my ability at Magic the Gathering out of 10, I think it would be a 2 or a 3 and maybe a 4 maximum. 4 is probably too high. But I have played Yu-Gi-Oh for a long time. I'm not playing it at the moment, but I'm aware of it. So, you know. So I've enlisted, I asked my friends, two of our RTVS's top cardiologists to come up with some
Got my finger on the pulse.
right to come up with some cards that they could show me, and I could try to guess if the card sucks or if the card fucks.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
That's
We
pretty much it.
Put together a list of 30.
Yes,
And
the
even
list
with-
is way bigger than normally. Whenever there's a YouTube video of one of these, they do like 5. So we'll see
Yeah.
how many we can get through.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but the guys talking about them are usually like genius level players that have a lot to say about them.
It's true.
We're just two stoners.
the other thing is also that this is a 30-year-old game now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's tons of stuff, and even with 30 cards, I'm not like there's a bunch of things that I wanted to get into that I had to not put in
I
because we already had 30.
So
Yup.
So the other thing about this format, specifically when you're dealing with a card game that's old, like, or has been around for a while, like Magic the Gathering, is like, there are so many different formats and different ways that people play Magic, to the point where, like, some cards would be good in some format, some cards would be good in another one and be bad in one. So I don't know, can you guys, like, can you give me like a ballpark of like what in your opinion makes a card good enough that it fucks? Like, should I be focused on a like, are you going to tell me the format in addition to the card, or? So
we didn't really discuss it whenever we were putting the cards in, but we ended up having kind of the same, I think, guidelines, me and Mira.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, first things first, we are ignoring multiplayer Magic entirely.
Okay.
It's
Commander doesn't
too
exist.
easy. It's too easy to make something overpowered in Commander. In any,
For sure.
basically anything where there are multiple targets and you don't get focused down all the time, there's a lot of things that can be broken. So we're not factoring that in. We're only considering one versus one established formats. And we're also not really worrying about cards that were only good in like this one specific time period. Like, if something was good in Standard in 2015 and that's it, don't worry about that. Like, we're not historians of that level, and it's not really that interesting if it's like, oh, it fucks, but only in
2003.
Right.
only in the Gadzooks format in 2013 at Pro Tour Honolulu.
That whenever I am watching videos that are this format that are like somebody guessing Yu-Gi-Oh cards, it's always kind of weird because Yu-Gi-Oh is an eternal format. They'll like give them a card that was really good in like 2011, but like isn't good anymore. But the answer will be like, oh, well, this is a good card because it was good in 2011. Or sometimes they'll be like, well, it was a good card in 2011, but it's bad now. This is basically to say, you know, this is not a hard science. This is more of an art form when it comes to the relative power levels of different trading cards.
So basically everything that's good here, that fucks here, is something that is like still relevant, still at least like impactful now, or had such a massive impact
right
whenever it like first showed up,
or like potentially banned or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
And we'll tell you what set it came from and like
that
where
will
it's
not
legal and
really
stuff. Well, no,
that
it's
won't
like a
help me
reference point
much,
of where it's legal.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah, we can tell you what formats it's legal in.
Yeah, so that's the format. Let me just flip on over here. And yeah, so I'm realizing now I'm actually not really going to be able to look at the chat much because I don't want them to. I don't know how much the chat knows about Magic the Gathering, but I don't want to accidentally cheat or anything.
No backseating, chat.
Yeah, no
You heard it here
backseating if
first.
you can. But I won't be looking at chat while the card is there. So, do you guys want to give me the first card? Let's get this going.
Yeah. So how do you want? Do you just want to
Can you-
do it in order? Or what,
you
on
pick
interlist?
whichever one you want. It's up
All right,
to
we
you.
can just go from the top.
Okay. Yeah, we can just get this first one here then.
Yeah.
And then maybe we'll skip a couple down at some point because I think like the first 15 or so are for me.
Yeah, I was pretty slow at it. I got
Alright.
a few in there.
Let me. Okay, this is interesting. So you'll have to give me a moment as I have to import the cards. I have no idea what the cards are. I didn't even ask for their names or anything. So
No,
let's
the
get the
dual land
first
is
card
just-
up here.
He
No, that was just there.
testing,
I
getting
was testing
picture up.
the size of the image. So here we go.
Yeah.
So, okay, and so I guess for just like a little bit of background, I only played my first game of actual Magic last year, I think. Yeah, it was last year. It was when
Baldur's
all will
Gate
be one.
pre-release.
Oh no, that's true. I forgot. I played a game because
Yeah.
Log brought.
Yeah, I bought a box of Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate and brought it over
Yes.
to Trog's domain.
And that was the first time
Yep.
I ever played Magic. I'm definitely like I was aware of Magic before that. I mean, you know, like everybody knows like, oh yeah, it's the Power 9, Time
Uh-huh.
Walk, Black
yeah,
Lotus,
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that. But that was the first time I played it, and then played a little bit of Arena, lost enough to run out of the free money to keep playing drafts in Arena, so I haven't played that in a while.
As one does, one does.
And I've never really played a constructed format outside of just like on Tabletop Sim with like Mira and Log and Balp, who are the other 3 people that play Magic the Gathering. Okay, so just to say that those are my credentials. So cut me some slack here. All right. First card. It's called Leveler. It is an artifact creature. Costs 5 mana. When Leveler comes into play, remove your library from the game, and it's a 10/10. Wait.
Yeah.
Okay. So my first thought with this card is like, this seems like a gimmick, but not a particularly good one, because 10/10 is only half of the opponent's life. So in order for this to be any good, first of all, you have to get 5 mana, and then you have to wait a turn to get rid of Summoning Sickness, and then you have to attack twice. But you can't, because if you can't draw when it's your turn, you lose. So you'd have to play this when you know that you're going to win. I think this one seems cut and dry to me. I think this card sucks. I'm just going in, locking in, first card, Leveler sucks. What's the answer?
Yeah, Leveler is fucking dog shit, dude.
Okay, there we go. It sucks.
I really like this card. So this is from Mirrodin. Mirrodin is from like 2004 or so. Basically, this is like the set. This is like the first modern legal set, I think.
Okay.
Is Mirrodin. And Mirrodin has a bunch of really cool art, a lot of really cool art, because it's all focused on like basically robots.
It's like a Bionicles plane.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a Bionicles plane, and it's got a bunch of like cool looking guys like Leveler. But the thing about that point in their like that specific era of play design was in a lot of cases them just putting stuff that had no purpose, just like putting random text on a card, and it's like, oh well, maybe the players will figure something out, and they'll just put it into print.
Yeah.
Like there's a ton of stuff. There's a ton of stuff like this in that specific era. Like this block and also Kamigawa block was just filled with just random shit. That, like I think they didn't have any ideas in mind for what this would be good for, and the answer was there was nothing good for it.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
totally
Magic
makes
was
sense.
was just printing a bunch of like they used to just print a shit ton of like board wipes and like specific color hosers and shit like that. And once they stopped doing that, they're like, well, fuck, what do we do? I don't know, just put some words on the cardboard, chip it out, see what happens.
Yeah, and so what was I gonna say?
I think the fact that it doesn't even come with haste too. So it's like if you want to win that turn, you need a way to either give it haste or like use it in some other capacity to win immediately.
Well, I will say they did finally come up with a use for Leveler about 2 years ago, exclusively in Commander, because they made a card in the Capenna Commander decks whose job is to put stuff from your graveyard into the opponent's side of the field. So you'll discard a Leveler and put a Leveler on their field and make them get rid of their library.
I didn't even think about that. That is funny. I mean, there are a handful of cards, like kind of gimmicky cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! That do stuff like swap ownership of cards. So I didn't even think about that.
Jackpot
where
7, whatever that deck is, I love that deck.
just like playing this, but then Well, I guess the problem is it would have to come
So,
into play
yeah,
on the
it's-
opponent's side.
It's exclusively for commander because I'm pretty sure that effect only exists on that commander card. Taking something from your graveyard and putting it on the opponent's field.
Right.
From the graveyard,
Rather than swapping it on the field, I don't think it exists anywhere else.
There is like there's other cards that are kind of similar to this, and there is a card called Stifle, which is counter target activated or triggered ability. So if you were to play this for 5, put it on the field, its ability goes on the stack. You could stifle the trigger, and then you just have a 5/5 for 10. People
That's
do that with another
pretty good.
card called Phyrexian Dreadnought, which is much better
Right.
at doing this because I think
have
it's like
heard of
2
that
mana
one.
for a 12/12 or some
Yeah,
shit like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember
12/12 with trample.
the only
Yeah, there you
other
go.
time I tried to play Magic, it was like, I mean, this was probably like 2012, like early college for me. Like I was just messing around because I had just found out about cockatrice being a thing. And yeah, I remember that, I think it is Phyrexian Dreadnought or something, because I remember I really
Yeah.
liked this deck in Yu-Gi-Oh, which was dog shit, but I really liked it. It revolved around using skill drain and then like a bunch of beatdown cards that have horrible downsides for you, but if you flip skill drain first, you aren't affected by them. So I was looking for a deck like that in Magic. I think I might be getting the card name wrong, but isn't there something called like Toper Orb or something where it's like,
Torpor Orb, where
Yeah.
ETB effects don't happen.
yeah. So it like, that was the deck I found that I played on Cockatrice for like one afternoon. I was like, wow, this
Yeah, I
is really bad. Like this is
Yeah, I
not a
remember.
good deck.
I played with you guys. That was my first experience with Magic too, back in 2012, and I remember
Yep.
Mira and Balp didn't tell me what a format was, so I just was
Well,
taking
to be
random
fair-
cards.
To be fair, back then I didn't know what a format was either. I would play down at my LGS. I didn't fucking ask them what like modern or standard. I just
Yeah.
showed up with my kitchen table cards and I was like, "What's up? You're playing Splinter Twin, Kiki Jiki? Yeah, all right. I'm playing Demir cards."
Nice. Okay. Well,
Excellent.
there's Leveler for you. At pretty, I gotta say, on the difficulty scale, pretty easy to suss that one out. Why don't you hit me with another one?
Yeah, like as soon as you asked about this, the first thing that came to mind was Leveler.
Was Leveler. All right, let's see. All right. Oh, interesting. Okay. Let me get this guy up here real quick. Perhaps for the future, I'll have a faster way to get these cards onto.
Yeah, if you could
Stream.
like load this from a table, that would.
Oh, that's a
Make
good
it go
idea.
really
I didn't
fast.
even think about that. Yeah, we should do that.
Because that's
for
all we
next
have.
time.
It's just an Excel table
Yeah.
or Google
Um,
Sheets, whatever.
Okay, so here we have Inverter of Truth. Costs 2 black, 2 generic. It's an Eldrazi. It's a legendary. Devoid has
it's not.
no color. Oh,
Not
that's not legendary? Wait.
Red means mythic rare. That's
oh,
rarity.
oh, my bad. Oh, that's right. Sorry, legendary is written on the card when it's legendary.
Yeah, it's a super type.
Yeah.
They would go before creature.
So it's a 6/6. It's got flying. When Inverter of Truth enters the battlefield, exile all cards from your library face. I'm seeing a pattern here. Exile all cards from your library face down, then shuffle all cards from your graveyard into your library. Okay, interesting. So it exiles, and then your graveyard becomes your library. But
Yep.
it's
It also note it exiles your deck face down. So
Yeah.
you're not allowed to see what you got rid of.
right. So
Makes it so easy. You just pick it up and move it to the side.
right.
Yep.
In Magic, like, okay, so in Yu-Gi-Oh, the sort of like the power creep of the game made the graveyard into a second library and made the exile zone into the graveyard, where there are like certain archetypes that actually care about the exile zone. In Magic,
So-
it seems like it's really hard to get anything out of exile, right? Like that's like
Yeah.
if a card goes there, like it's basically you're not
So-
doing anything with it.
Pretty
I'll
much.
say, so this card is from Oath of the Gatewatch, which is something that is legal in Pioneer. I think, what was
No,
it, like
it's from Battle
24?
from Zendikar, it says.
No, it's OGW. See in the bottom left?
Oh, well, you wrote it down wrong, bitch.
My bad. It's like the same difference, but whatever. It's a Pioneer legal set. It came out within the last 10 years or so. And this set also had cards that specifically did care about taking cards out of exile.
Oh, okay. Because I've seen a lot of Magic cards, and I can't think of a single one where it tells you to like pull something that you exiled back out. of it. Okay. Is this card good, though? I mean, it seems to me like the effect is supposed to act as a downside for the fact that it has a good stat line and flying for the mana cost. And it's kind of hard to say. At the very least, it doesn't just kill you like the last one does, but it could kill you if you don't have anything in your graveyard. I guess at that point, you just don't play it, though. Okay. This just seems like, unless it's part of some kind of combo, which that's another thing about Magic that's kind of hard to judge cards, where it's like, a card can sound bad, but because I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of every other card in the game, it's like, oh yeah, no, this card is great because of this other card that lets you instantly win the game. I'm gonna say this card is good because of that. I bet that there is some other card that exists that makes the downside like not a downside. And it's already a good card, like even with the downside. So you either find a way to mitigate the downside, or there's just some other card that makes it good to have your entire library exiled or something like that. I want to say this card fucks.
Ding 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 ding.
Yay!
Yeah, you got it right. So you're kind of right on both regards here.
Nice.
All right, I just had to see the cutscene.
My friends were watching the cutscene.
But yeah, so this is something that they've been doing relatively often, even now. Is that Black will have a 4-mana 6/6 flyer that has like some major downside to it. And most of the time, they still end up being too good for it to matter. Like the clock is just too fast for it to matter.
I see.
Like there's one in standard right now. It's called Archfiend of the Dross, and it's a 6-mana, or it's a 4-mana 6/6 flyer where it has these counters on it that you remove every upkeep, and if you remove 3 counters from it, you lose the game.
Right.
And it doesn't matter because it kills people too fast. They have to deal with it before that comes up. Yep. But so not only is this card one of those kind of 6/6 flyers, it is banned in Pioneer because you can easily build a Pioneer deck that wins instantly whenever it comes in.
Really?
So
yeah,
the thing about it is that they're
called Thassa's Oracle.
Yeah, so there's 2 cards in Pioneer.
I have heard of that one. I've heard of.
There's 2 cards
Oracle
in Pioneer that can win you the game if your library is empty. It's Thassa's Oracle and Jace, Wielder of Mysteries.
Yep. So
the way you do it is you build up basically a blue-black kind of control-ish deck. And what you can do is, up until you play your Inverter of Truth and then you play like the thing that wins if your library is empty, you can keep your graveyard, you can control how big your graveyard is, because the other thing that Pioneer has that no other format really has access to is spells with Delve. I can give you a link to an example. This is like the premier Inverter of Truth Delve card is this one, Dig Through Time. So Dig Through Time is a super broken card. It is a 8-mana instant, but you can exile a card from your graveyard to pay for one of the mana.
One of the colors.
Okay, right.
Yeah. So you can exile 6 cards from your library to make this a 2-mana, look at the top 7, draw 2.
Nice.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
So basically it's like you get whatever cards you want in your graveyard. It doesn't really matter. It's just like kill your opponent's creatures, make them discard stuff, whatever. And then once you're ready to win, you exile your graveyard with Dig Through Time. Look at the top 7. You're probably going to find an Inverter of Truth. And then you just play your Inverter of Truth and then play Thassa's Oracle or Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, and you just win. And there's nothing they can really do about it.
For it.
Right.
Yep.
And so, just so people in chat know, so The difference between the formats in Magic is, so there's Modern, which is like everything past, what, like 2008 or 9?
2002 or something.
Oh shit,
something
it's
like
even
that.
older than that.
Yeah,
It's pretty
I said Mirrodin was the first set. It's actually 8th edition, but
Yeah.
it's like 2003, 2004.
Okay, so that's
And
Modern.
Then, and then Pioneer is like Modern Junior. It's like 2014, 2015, something like that.
Right.
It started with
Around whenever I dropped
Return to
off physical Magic.
Ravnica.
Oh,
So I
wow.
think it's probably 2012.
Never mind. Yeah, that's around when I started playing. That's funny.
Right.
And then, yeah, there's the Eternal formats, which are Vintage and Legacy. Vintage is no ban list, only restricted list. That's where all the fucking $1,000 cards are, Moxes and Black Lotuses and shit. Legacy is an Eternal format, but it has a ban list. Shit, what else is there? Pauper is only,
Pauper.
you can only use cards that were ever printed at Common.
Yeah, Pauper seems fun.
Which
I haven't played
It's a
that much of
surprisingly
it, but
fucked up list of cards.
I
Yeah.
still hold that while I do not play modern Yu-Gi-Oh, I do think there is a nugget of a good game in Yu-Gi-Oh. The problem is that there's only one format that is like official. And if they had more
Yeah.
formats in Yu-Gi-Oh, I think the game would be better enjoyed by people, because right now, Yu-Gi-Oh is not doing so hot competitively. It's a bit of a slump at the moment. I don't play it competitively, obviously, but yeah, it's like there's like one deck that's far and away the best one, and it costs like $2,000. It's rough. But if I could just go back in time and play, like, you know, there are like there are popular formats that people play, like GOAT format is from like 2006 or something, but none of them are quote unquote official from Konami.
Yeah. Magic like officially supports and releases material for these formats.
Yeah. So that's cool that Magic has multiple ways to play it. I really wish Yu-Gi-Oh would do that, because while I don't really want to play modern Yu-Gi-Oh too much, I would like to play some older formats on, like,
Yeah.
if they could put like GOAT format on Master Duel, I would be playing that like every day.
Yeah, there's certain sets of cards that kind of define formats in a way, and kind of the reason that Inverter of Truth is something that fucks and got banned in Pioneer is because, like, that's kind of the format identity, is that you're allowed to play with the Delve spells.
Oh, really?
These things are too strong for Modern, and are they allowed in Legacy? I don't know, but
Most likely.
oh no, Dig Through Time's
actually might be
banned. It's restricted in Vintage too. Okay,
Oh,
so
wow.
Dig Through Time is just that strong.
Okay, so that one's
Yeah,
super
but
fucks.
Is a
you're
goodie.
allowed to play it in Pioneer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's a little history lesson for you. Hit me with the next card.
Alrighty. Now we're going old school.
Oh
I
boy,
really like
that's
the
gonna
fun
be
facts on this
pretty
guy.
hard.
Yep. Oh yeah,
All right,
baby.
very interesting. I'm liking the art. Oh, you guys are gonna like this one. I'm excited. Let's pull this guy up. Here we go. We got
We're
Goblin
going
Lackey.
way far back.
Yeah, this shit. He's got such a radiant smile. He's so happy. Okay, Goblin Lackey, 1 red, 1/1 Goblin. Whenever Goblin Lackey successfully deals damage to a player, you may choose a Goblin card in your hand and put that Goblin into play. Wow. Immediately, that sounds very good. I mean, just playing stuff for free is pretty good.
But just for reference, this came out in Urza block, which is like one of the earliest blocks in Magic, and has never been reprinted. So
Really?
you're only allowed to play it in Vintage and Legacy.
Oh, interesting. Okay. That does change things, because I mean, playing stuff for free is pretty good. I am noticing that this does require you to deal damage with it. And as a 1/1, that seems like it's not going to be super free, because the way that combat works in Magic, if you don't know, is it's not like Yu-Gi-Oh where you pick what you attack. In Magic, you just say, I'm attacking with these, and your opponent gets to choose whether they block it or not. So something like this seems like it would not be very good. My first thought was like, oh, this has to be good. You get to play stuff for free. Like, that's easy. But reading it again, the fact that it does have to deal damage and it's a 1/1, which means, like, I mean, is somebody going to let you play something for free when they can just, like, block it? Even if they have to lose a creature? And I guess I don't know what other goblins exist. I mean, I'm like somewhat familiar with the concept of goblins in Magic. I don't think there's any like 9 mana super threat goblins that you're gonna like drop on somebody for free if a goblin lackey gets through. Pretty sure they're more of a swarming strategy. I'm gonna say it almost feels mean to say that this card sucks. It seems like it's pretty mid. I would say it definitely does not fuck. I'm gonna say this card sucks. What?
Alright, this card actually does fuck.
Wait, what?
on the chart,
No way.
under fun facts, all log wrote is this dude is bullshit. LOL.
What? No way.
So-
That's insane.
So,
whoops. I didn't
like,
have the card.
your judgment that it's like, you're right in that it's like, well, why would they ever let you?
Oh, my bad. I didn't even have
land
the
a
card
hit.
up there. Hold on. You
No, you
guys
did.
got to see the art. Sorry. I read it out, but there we go.
I think you did. It just reset when
Oh,
you
okay,
get the,
okay. All right, good. As long as you guys got to see him. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
so,
I
like-
can't look at chat while I'm guessing because I don't want you good fuckers to spoil me.
So you're right in that it's like, all right, well, if I have a blocker, why would I ever let Goblin Lackey connect?
Right.
But because this is a legacy/vintage card, you're ending up in an environment where a lot of people are like not playing creatures. They're trying to get like their own broken win conditions going. You know?
Right.
So Goblin Lackey exists in a world where every goblin ever printed is playable, and people aren't necessarily going to be playing turn 1 creatures. And you're right in that, like, yeah, people can just kill this goblin. It's a 1 mana creature though, which means it's not very committal. Like, if you lose your 1/1, all right, they wasted removal on a 1/1, and you have other stuff to do.
Yep.
If
Okay.
the lackey exists and they end up not being able to block it, if the lackey ever does damage to a player, like, most
You're gonna
likely
shit
they're
out
just
like 8 goblins.
most likely
Okay.
they're just fucked.
Gotcha.
There's a couple of different payoffs that you can get onto the field if a goblin lackey connects, but the big baller payoff
head honcho.
is this guy called Muxus.
Okay. Pull this guy up. Wow, this guy's got a lot of text.
It's funny to hear a Yu-Gi-Oh player say that.
I mean, a lot of text for a Magic card. I have different standards for Magic cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Let's see. This guy enters the battlefield. Reveal top 6 of your. Okay. Yeah, I immediately see the value of this guy
Yeah.
for sure.
So Goblin Lackey touches you, Muxus comes into play, you can no longer win the game.
Right. Yeah.
It's gonna be over the next turn.
Okay, so I was basically just completely wrong when I said there was no like 8 mana goblin super threats. It's this guy.
But also,
that
like,
guy.
even if you can't get Muxus, there are like just generally good goblins from at 3 or 4 mana that you're going to play that, like, even if you get just those out, that's already a big swing in your favor if you can do it.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
well that's cool. Well, yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad that this wasn't easy for me. You know, I'm happy that I got one wrong because
I'm so
like,
happy that Goblin Lackey was the one that threw you off.
legitimately, I like just straight up, I didn't think about the fact that like in the older formats, there's going to be less creatures because I never played Vintage or Legacy or anything where it's like almost more like Yu-Gi-Oh where, you know, you're just kind of trying to pop off as fast as possible and just murder the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, well, you know, I'm still up 2-1, so I'm still winning. I'll get the prize at the end if I can keep it up.
I'm sending
Alright.
one of mine.
Yep.
Yeah, do it.
All right.
Take this.
Alrighty. Pull this guy up. We got Lethal Vapors, 2 black, 2 generic, enchantment. Whenever a creature comes into play, destroy it. For 0 mana, destroy Lethal Vapors, you skip your next turn. Oh, any player may play this ability. Okay. Well,
Our first non-creature.
wow. Yeah. Okay. That's a very interesting card. It's almost like a, I don't even know. Like, I almost said Prisoner's Dilemma, but it's not really that. It's just so I understand. It's whoever uses that ability skips their next turn, right?
Yes.
Like that's how
Yes.
it works. So so somebody plays this. But so my opponent plays this.
Yeah.
My turn comes around. I have to choose between just not being able to play a creature. Well, neither of us, I guess. But
you
if
can play
I
creatures, they'll just die.
right, okay, that's true. So, but then I have to skip my next turn. I mean, that seems pretty
Yes.
bad. It's like
also
that's pretty
know-
bad.
Do note when it comes to activated abilities in Magic, look for if it says activate only as a sorcery or something like that. This one doesn't say that, so it can be done instant speed. The second your opponent finishes casting this, you could just do the 0 and say, okay, get that out. Take
Okay.
your next turn.
Yeah, but then you're giving your opponent. So like
But then, yeah,
yeah,
you're
so
time walking them.
that basically means it's a time walk, right? Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Is like, okay, they can spend 4 mana to get a free turn. Like that's pretty fucking good. I can't see how this card could be bad. I mean, I'm going to assume if you're running this card, you have already set up your strategy to take advantage of your own creatures dying in some way. And at that point, if you have set up your deck for that and your opponent has it, they basically have no choice but to give you a free turn when you play it. I think this card fucks. I think this card is good. That's
Lock it in?
I'm locking it in. This card fucks.
This
No!
card sucks balls.
Are you serious?
I think you need to get into the
No.
habit of asking what formats you can play these cards in.
Okay, maybe I need to put
Because-
more credence into that.
Yeah, this is another card that is only been printed once. It's never been reprinted, and it's only legal in Legacy and Vintage.
Okay. So is it just the format's too fast for this to, or it's
Well,
just not
it's fast.
impactful enough?
It's fast, but also remember what we were just talking about. Not a lot of people are playing creatures in Legacy
Yeah.
and Vintage.
Right.
So,
okay.
Lethal Vapors comes into play, and you
don't
look at that and
care.
say, who gives a shit, brother? I'm playing Doomsday.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. That's another thing that's like a big difference between Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like, Yu-Gi-Oh! There is basically not a deck that's been relevant majorly ever that has an alternate win condition. Like, those are all gimmicks. They're all jokes. So, Magic definitely has a lot more alternate win conditions that actually impact the metagame in a tangible way.
Speaking of alternate win conditions, the reason why I put this card on and the reason why I love this card, there's a deck called Teferi's Vacation. There's a spell called Teferi's Protection. You cast it, you gain protection from everything, all of your permanents phase out, your life total can no longer change until your next turn, right?
Okay.
So you have Lethal Vapors out. Anybody can activate the ability, even you.
Right.
So you cast Lethal Vapors, put it on there. You cast Teferi's Protection, or I guess you could wait to do Tefra. I don't know which direction you do it. I'm no expert, but basically, this is an instant speed ability. You can activate it, and then while it's on the stack, activate it again. And you can skip
I
your
see.
next infinity turns.
Right.
And until your next turn, you're basically invincible. So you just go on vacation. That's why the deck is called
Wait.
Teferi Vacation.
So if you do that and you say, I skip my next infinity turns, does that just deck your opponent, like, by logic?
Pretty much, unless they
essentially,
have
yeah.
another way to win.
Right. Okay.
You
Well,
just
that is
lose the
that is a
game,
funny.
functionally.
That is a
Of
very
course-
funny.
Of
Way to
course,
win.
there are good decks in Legacy that also use the Thassa's Oracle strategy.
Right,
Where it's just,
yeah.
if your library's empty, you win. So Doesn't
Okay.
work against that.
That makes sense. Well, shoot. All right. Well, it's okay. I'm 2 for 2. That's, I'm only half dunce at the moment. But yeah, I definitely I'll remember to ask which formats the cards are legal in the next
It's
one.
an important lesson.
Yeah. All right. Hit me with another one.
Are you getting another one of yours?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. Yeah, we'll do this one. Check it out.
Alrighty. Let's see. We're gonna get this guy on the screen. Computer, show me Up the Beanstalk, please. Up the Beanstalk is an enchantment that costs 1 generic, 1 green. When Up the Beanstalk enters the battlefield, and whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, draw a card. Broken. If I read draw a card, how can it be bad? I mean, that sounds stupid, but coming from Yu-Gi-Oh,
Yeah.
I see draw a card, and I'm just like, is there... Okay, hold on. Before... I just got tricked twice in a row, so let me take a moment to really analyze this one. So it's a newer card, so I know this one has to be legal in at least, modern and stuff, right?
It's in a standard set right now.
It is not legal in modern.
Okay. So, yeah. This card's broken. I like 2 mana, draw a card. It's not like it's a pot of greed, but it seems like it's the next best thing, right? And I know that green's thing is just casting a bunch of expensive shit over and over. Yeah, I'm locking in this one immediately. This card fucks for sure.
Yeah. You're kind of giving away
you
the
got
plot, saying it's not legal in modern.
It's okay.
You're right.
Legitimately, as soon
He
as I
was
read
already
that
locked
card,
in.
I was already locked in. I was like, this card fucks for sure.
Yeah, so this was a card that they designed for the Wilds of Eldraine limited format.
Okay.
So, Wilds of Eldraine came out last summer. And so in limited, the green-blue color pair strategy was casting stuff with mana value 5 or greater. That was what it was based on. So this was meant to go with that. It's just all right, you keep casting your big dudes and you get some value off of that. That was all it was intended to be. It wasn't intended to really see much play outside of limited.
Whoops.
The problem is that with Magic play design, whenever there is a card with it an alternate cost, it is usually overcosted whenever it comes to the actual cost.
Just take a look at this one, for example.
Yeah. Look at Mira's card right there.
Oh yeah, I've definitely heard. I think I may have played with this card at some point. This is a card called Force of Will. 3 generic, 2 blue, but it says you may pay 1 life and exile a blue card from your hand rather than pay this spell's mana cost to counter a target spell. Yes,
Yeah,
this
So
is
for
a
each
classic.
Beanstalk. So not only do the beans cantrip on the way in, they draw you a card when they hit the field. Now all of your Force of Wills also cantrip.
Oh,
And they can
Basically-
cantrip multiple, because that's a 5 mana spell. Even though you're casting it for free, it's still a 5 mana spell.
Okay, I didn't even think about. I didn't even think about that too.
So Force of Will is a legacy and vintage card, but even in modern, there are multiple cards that you can cast for free by exiling a card from your hand.
Right. Well, they just
And they
banned
just so
a couple
happen-
of them, right?
Yeah,
there
they
was
just so happened to be
Grief
5
and-
mana.
Right.
Yeah, so Grief just got banned. The one before
Goodbye,
that was
Grief.
Fury. Fury was a 5 mana spell that you could cast for free by exiling a red card from your hand. And it was a 3/3 double striker that basically blew your opponent's mama's house up.
Yeah.
So basically, you have up the beanstalk out, and the opportunity cost of using these things for free, it's gone. You've completely negated the
God forbid
the
you get
trade-off.
2 or 3 beans.
Yeah, you have a
Right,
second one
right.
out,
Yeah.
and you're getting benefits from casting your cards for free.
Yeah.
And you would just take over the game because you would cast a card for free, draw 2 cards, you draw another card that you could cast for free, And
you just
you
keep
just
on
kept going.
Like they cast their big game-winning combo spell, right? And then you force it, and you draw a card, and then they force it back, and then look at that! I drew another Force of Will, boink, and hey, guess what? I'm drawing another.
Yeah.
Because it's not limited per turn. You can draw as many as you want.
Yeah, that's something that is so ubiquitous in modern Yu-Gi-Oh card design, where pretty much Yu-Gi-Oh does not have a resource system like mana, right? The resource system in Yu-Gi-Oh is your cards' activations, because basically every single good card in the game has a line of text that says this may only be used once per turn, and any cards that don't have that on it are banned. Like, that's kind of where the game evolved to, is the resource is how many times you can activate a card in a turn. So I saw draw a card, and I saw like, yeah, there's nothing limiting this from just drawing you 7 cards a turn, and it's like, this has to be good.
Yeah, current day Magic design also leans towards that as well. There's a lot of stuff that is specifically the way they keep stuff from being like constructed playable is by putting once per turn clauses on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Except for that
Unless
bird.
they mess it up, like that stupid bird.
Yeah, that fucking bird. I know about the bird. I was following the plot line of that bird.
Yeah. You will not be finding Nadu on this list.
Right, that's what it was called. I couldn't remember. For the people who don't know what that is, there was a bird. There was a bird card. There's a card with a bird on it called Nadu something of something. I don't even know how much it costs in terms of the mana cost.
3-drop.
It's all that matters is it said when any of your shit gets targeted, draw a card. And like that was it. And then it was the most broken thing.
But the key with it is not that it says that. It says all of your creatures gain the ability whenever it gets targeted by a card. Or whenever it gets targeted by a spell or ability, draw 1 card. This can only happen up to 2 times per turn.
Yeah, it's twice per turn. Per creature.
It's also not even an actual card draw.
Twice. Oh, right. It's also not a card draw. So anything that hoses card draw, like Orcish Bowmasters, you look at the card. If it's a land, you put it into play, untapped. And if it's not a land, you just draw it. And you don't even draw it. So if they have something that punishes draws, like Orcish Bowmasters or any other thing like that, Nadu doesn't give a fuck. It doesn't...
Yeah, so that's a card that fucks if we don't even... There's no contest on that one. It's a card that fucks.
And the punchline to all of that was it was so oppressive and powerful that they had to... Well, number one, they banned it recently. And they released a article. Wizards of the Coast released an article on the website that, paraphrasing here, basically said, yeah, sorry about that. We didn't actually test it. We changed the card like a week before it was printed and just kind of shrugged our shoulders and just let it rip. And so it's very funny to me.
Last minute adjustments are understandable whenever you are presumably on a pretty tight schedule, but usually last minute changes are like changing a number by 1 and not completely redesigning something.
Which
it's a bit strange.
Yep.
All right. You want to get...
Yeah, hit me with another.
I want to put one in.
Okay.
Go for it.
All right. This one is as a new kind of card for you to see.
Oh, okay. So, all right, I see.
It's one of those.
I forgot that there are... All right, I forgot that cards in Magic can have 2 sides, so I'm gonna have to figure out on the fly how to show both sides here.
There's a flip button.
Yeah, but how am I gonna show it on stream? It's okay. I'll figure it out.
That's true.
Okay, so there's a card called Valky, God of Lies. 1 generic, 1 black. A legendary creature, which means you can only have 1. It's only 1 on your side, right?
On the field. Yeah.
Oh, it's on. Like if your opponent has one.
Well, it used to be like that, but not anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. If it's legendary. If it's legendary, you can only control 1 legendary with a given name. If you have 2 legendaries with the same name, you have to put 1 in the graveyard.
Right.
You pick one and keep the other.
This guy is a god, which, I mean, if you're going to call yourself a god, that's already leaning towards the fucks territory. I mean, they wouldn't print a bad card that is called a god, right? But he's a 2/1. I think it's a he. Kind of hard to tell from the art. When Valky enters the battlefield, each opponent reveals their hand. For each opponent, exile a creature card they revealed this way until Valky leaves the battlefield. Wait, hold on. I need to reread that. When he enters the battlefield, your opponent shows their hand. For each opponent, exile a creature card they revealed this way. I'm getting kind of thrown off by the until they leave. Oh, okay. Sorry. I understand. So you're exiling it, but they get it back.
You're like,
that's what it says.
They get it back whenever
Yeah.
Valky's gone.
Okay, gotcha.
The way people usually do these abilities in paper is you'll tuck the card under the guy.
Yeah, okay. I understand.
He's holding it.
And then he's got an activated ability for X mana. Choose a creature card exiled with Valky with converted mana cost X. Valky becomes a copy of that card. Okay, so then you can pay the amount of mana that you exiled the creature to copy it. Whenever you copy a card, does that also copy the stat line as well?
Yes.
Yeah,
it
becomes
a
a
perfect
full
copy of it.
Okay, so it's just
becomes a full copy, but it cannot. They changed the
If it
rules about
changes
this
zones,
recently.
it'll go back to
It can't
normal.
transform if you turn to a card that can transform.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe that's how it works.
And so this is a card with a front and a back. So
Yep.
I'm guessing that cost. Can you play either side at any time, or do you have to play
So-
one side and flip it?
So these are what you would call modal cards. You have to choose one side to cast.
Okay. So, but you get to
And-
pick.
Yeah, you pick
Yeah.
which side you cast, but you don't the other side does not matter. You've casted one side, the other side doesn't exist.
Right.
in that way.
You can't. Yeah. Let me go ahead and we're gonna pull this other guy up.
Though
here. So
I
this
will
is the
say-
other side.
I will say for dual-faced modal cards, in the context of it existing in your deck and hand, it uses the characteristics of the front side. I'll tell you that much.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
up until you cast the backside, this is just Valky, the 2-mana creature.
Okay. So the other side of this guy is Tybalt, Cosmic Imposter. 5 generic, 1 black, 1 red. They're a planeswalker. I'm not going to explain the entirety of what a planeswalker is to chat. Go look it up. It's not that complicated.
It's a guy who sits on your field and does stuff.
It's kind of like another
starts-
player, but not really.
He starts with a number. You see the number in the bottom right, and then it has abilities. You can use one per turn, and it changes the number by how much it says. The number is
So-
also its health. Your opponent can beat the shit out of it.
Yeah. So, as Tybalt enters the battlefield, you get an emblem with, you may play cards exiled with Tybalt, Cosmic Imposter, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast those spells. And so, an emblem is just like fully permanent, right? Like it's the most permanent
that's-
permanent. You can't ever lose it.
You
They're
can't
basically
you can't
completely
interact with an emblem.
uninteractable.
Okay,
They're like, you just have this effect now.
right, forever. Even if the card leaves the field, right? Like you,
Right.
if you had another one or when. So okay, so
Yep.
the +2, so +2 exile the top card of each player's library. Seems pretty good paired with the previous text.
The passive.
-3 exile target artifact or creature. -8 exile all cards from all graveyards, and then also add 3 red. Okay, I mean, the first thing I'm thinking about with this card is it seems pretty versatile. I mean, just the fact that it's literally 2 cards in your hand. If you draw this, it's like you draw, it's as though you have drawn 2 cards.
Basically,
Which
yeah.
seems pretty valuable just to even just have it in your hand. I know that I mean, okay, this is a more recent card, so it's not going to be like legacy only. 7 mana seems a little expensive. The planeswalkers that I've played with have been on the cheaper side, but potentially less impactful than this. I guess the fact this is a hard one because it does, like, honestly, if it was just the Valky side, I would honestly say that that's pretty good, right? I mean, 2 mana for a hand rip essentially is like, I mean, what Thoughtseize is like 1 black and you pay 2 life, right?
But Thoughtseize is
But
permanent.
this one only hits creatures.
That's a good point. So it's only creatures and it's not permanent. But so let's say you exile a creature and then you copy it. Yeah, okay, I see. This is a hard one. I'm leaning towards it's good, but I guess you would have to have the mana to copy it. And if you didn't, then it's basically just a temporary hand rip that, I mean, 1 toughness is not exactly the most difficult thing to take out in a game with, like, lightning bolt and stuff like that. The Planeswalker side seems pretty good, though, but it also could be, like, a win more scenario if it costs... Like, if something is costing 7 mana, I would expect it to, like, almost just nearly win the game on the spot, I would think. So, like, the fact that it's 7 mana, and then on top of that, you'd have to have extra mana to cast your opponent's cards. I'm gonna say this card sucks. It does a lot of things, but I think the Planeswalker side might cost too much, and the non-Planeswalker side kind of also just costs too much. And also it's like, I don't know, what if your opponent just doesn't have anything that you really want to cast? Like, it seems like you're leaving too much up to what your opponent is playing for this to be, like, useful in a competitive sense. I'm gonna say sucks. Lock it in.
Locked in?
Locked in.
All right. Well, unfortunately, this one fucks.
Oh.
So
I'm
here's
getting
the
worse
thing.
at this.
So here's the thing about this card. Whenever this card came out, it forced them to change the rules of the game, because for about a week, this was basically the strongest thing that you could ever do.
Really?
Yep.
The way that this card works, because in every zone except for on the field, this is just Valky, the 2-mana creature. There's a mechanic called Cascade. Do you know what Cascade is?
Okay, yep. I'm already seeing how it might be a problem.
So basically all the popular Cascade cards are 3 mana, and what Cascade says is you exile cards from the top of your library until you hit something that costs less than the card you just cast.
Yep.
And then you cast that one for free. Whenever this card came out, there was no rules about casting which side of the card.
Yep.
So you would just build
would
just build decks that would Cascade on 3, hit Valky, and then you would choose to cast Tybalt instead.
That's so fun. They just like, had it just not come up in the rules that, or there just wasn't anything good enough?
This was basically the first time where this came up.
Okay.
I think before Kaldheim, which is the set this came out in, I think before that, all modal cards were like a land on one side and
yeah, stuff like that.
a creature. It was like a non-land on the front and then a land on the back, so it didn't matter. So this is like a set that introduced double-sided permanents, and this is the one where the one on the front is cheaper than the one on the back. And it's cheaper by a lot, and also the one on the back is really good. So
okay. It was like the perfect storm.
So for a while, you would just be cascading to cast Tybalt, and then Tybalt would take over the game because he's a planeswalker with tons of loyalty.
Right. Yeah.
That can do whatever you need him to. Yep. And so they had to change the rules to say, all right, if you cascade, you have to cast something that is actually like the correct mana value that you're expecting.
Front, God damn it.
Yeah, okay.
But you have to cast something with the right mana value. You can't cheat it out. But even after they changed the rules, it's still pretty good. This is a Pioneer playable card, and there are other types of cards besides Cascade that let you cheat it out. So
you can flip for free. So the way it works, Block Spiders, is Cascade is a mechanic that says when you cast this spell, look at cards from the top of your deck until you hit one that costs less, and then you can cast it for free. Because this is a dual face modal card, you can cast either side when you cast it. But for the purpose of its mana value and all of those other stats, it uses the front, which is Valky, right? So you do a 3-mana Cascade spell, you can find a 2-mana or less spell and cast it for free. Valky is 2, so you can cast it for free with Cascade. But because it's dual face modal card, you could just choose to cast it on the 7 side for free.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
That's why it's fucked.
So that makes total sense.
There are other cards that exist, and there are other cards that exist in Pioneer as well that let you like cast a card of mana value X or less for free. and those ones still let you cast the Tybalt side. It's just it's much more fair than Cascade, because Cascade is just kind of a broken mechanic no matter what.
Yeah.
I legitimately, I mean, I don't even know if I would have remembered Cascade existed if I would have put two and two together, but once you, as soon as you said Cascade, I was like, oh, right, yeah, that's that.
Yeah, so this is a card with a major historical impact.
It's also doubly funny because the first time Tybalt was ever printed, I don't even fucking remember when it was. He like Innistrad or something?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I almost put him on the list. Original Tybalt is by far the worst Planeswalker. And
oh really?
I don't think he he will ever be beaten.
Okay.
Original Tybalt is like meme worthy of how shit of a, because he's the only he was like the only 2-mana Planeswalker at the time, right?
Oh.
So he's really cheap and his abilities were garbage.
Right.
And it was like a meme constantly that he was fucking garbage. And then the next time they print him, it's on this busted ass card that rewrites all the rules.
That's really funny.
Yeah, Tybalt's got a funny history.
Wow.
He's the worst Planeswalker and briefly becomes the best Planeswalker, and then he gets hit by an elf and dies.
Well, all right. Well, that one definitely got me. That was a tricky one. I feel like my reasoning was sound. I just simply did not take Cascade into account at all. So
Yeah, they're
if you had to
There are
hard cast
plenty-
that guy, it wouldn't be good. But it turns out you don't have to hard cast that guy.
yeah, there are plenty ways to leverage odd cards in your favor in this game.
All right, hit me with another. This is fun.
Check
I'm
this
having a
out.
good time doing this.
Check this out.
All right. Oh boy. Oh, I like this art. All right, this is another old one. Okay. We got. How do you even Ursats gnomes? They got the Power Rangers. They are the Power Gnomes. Cost
Guardians
3.
of Matanui.
Yeah, a little bit of Bionicle in there for sure. 3 generic. Artifact creature. Tap. Target spell is colorless. Play this ability as an interrupt. Tap. Target permanent is colorless until end of turn. Okay.
And that interrupt thing is old school terminology. It just
For
means you can
instant?
do it at instant speed.
Yeah, okay.
Pretty
That's
much.
what I thought. Okay. Well, it looks a bit shit just immediately looking at it. It's... I'm trying to rack my brain as to what making a permanent colorless would accomplish, unless... I mean, I'm sure there is, but the only thing that's coming to mind immediately is, like, your opponent has some kind of protection from insert color here, and you can make something colorless so that it goes past its protection. This is an old card. Without telling me if it's banned someplace, that means that this is not modern legal, or, like, this is
let me check
vintage
the-
legacy only, or is this...
This is Legacy Vintage. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, going off of the other vintage and legacy cards, I feel like there's no way this is good. I mean, I'm really trying to think of if there's something I'm not thinking about with making something colorless. It's interesting that it says target spell is colorless, because things are only spells when you're casting them, right? Like that's
Yep. When
that's
they're on
how
the
it
stack.
works.
Yep.
So that one's kind of weird in itself. Like, what would changing a spell to be colorless as you or your opponent is casting something? Unless there was just something that... No, this card sucks. I'm gonna say this card sucks. If it fucks, then it's using a mechanic that I have no possible concept of, so I think I just have to say this one sucks. I'm locked in. It sucks.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yay!
Yeah, I'd never seen this shit before. I can't believe you knew about it.
Okay.
I put this shit in for the art, bro. This is a classic.
This is a good card. The art is awesome. The art is sick. It
But
is
yeah,
the
you're
Power
playing-
Ranger gnomes. Oops.
You're paying 3 mana for a 1/1 with 2 tap abilities that it can't use on the first turn that you
Yeah.
do it. Like, back in this, like, this is Mirage. This is early Magic, right? Look at that. 1996. This card is as old as I am. So, back in those days, there was a lot of, like, specifically, like, color hosing and color... Like, have you ever seen Circle of Protection?
It sounds familiar.
There's a Circle of Protection enchantment for every color, white,
Right.
red, green, etc. They're 2 mana, you put them down, and then it has a 1 mana activated ability that just says prevent damage from, or like
Okay.
target thing gets protection from this color.
Right.
Like they used to go really, really, really hard on color hosing
Yeah.
back in the day. So like color hose or like changing the color of a permanent or spell, it's a really interesting idea, but it doesn't really commonly come to fruition just because
Right.
of how fucking weird an ability that, like, what are you gonna do with that?
That's really what I mean. I was just trying to think, what would making something colorless even do? And besides dodging protection, I was like, I literally can't think of anything else that
Yeah.
would be useful.
For the first like 5 years of this game's history, they were like obsessed with this shit.
Really?
They were always having stuff change colors. There's a card called like Magical Hack that all it does is change like instances of a color on card text to a different color,
Damn.
Yeah, you can change the text on cards. That shit's great.
which
Yeah.
is it's its own kind of funny history with Magical Hack is that what it was implemented wrong on the online clients for a while. So if you tried to change red to green, it would change reduce to greenus.
Oh, great.
That's great.
That's good.
But yeah, they had a bunch of stuff like this, and it didn't really matter at all.
Right. I mean, it
And
kind of
then-
makes
Yeah.
sense in the early Magic. I feel like the whole color system was like, that was the game, right? Like that was like how you got people to play it, is like, oh, look, you can play as these 5 colors. Like everything revolves around these different 5 colors. And like, that's what makes it cool. It's like, oh, do you want to play a green deck or you want to play a blue deck? Pick your favorite color.
And then after about 5 or 6 years, they're like, all right, well, enough of this childish shit. We've grown up. We've matured as play designers. And then 2008 came along and the housing market crashed, and they said, oh, fuck, we need to do color stuff again.
Wait,
For about 1 year.
what happened in 2008? Well, other than the
they-
housing market crash, what happened in Magic the Gathering in 2008?
In 2008, they had, for some reason, a whole bunch of cards that cared about colors again. And
Okay.
that happened, that happened one more time, and that was it.
Okay. Well, I do greatly appreciate the art of this card. I like how each one of them is emitting a powerful beam of magic through a different orifice on their body, which is pretty cool. I guess
That's
white and
awesome.
black are both... if you squint, I guess maybe the white one is shooting it out of his nose, potentially. But, that's
I love
sick
it.
art. Sick art for sure.
Combo. Check this one out.
All right. Let me pull it up. All right, we got Painter's Servant, a 2-mana artifact creature, Scarecrow. As Painter's Servant comes into play, choose a color. All cards that aren't in play, spells, and permanents are the chosen color in addition to their other colors. All cards
And
that aren't
look at that year
in
at the bottom.
play- What is that? Oh, 2008.
2008.
Yeah. So okay, all cards that aren't in play spell. Okay, so that's just saying like everything, like every card possible. I don't think there's a place where it's not. I mean, I guess that means no, yeah, because exile and graveyard would count as not in play,
Yeah.
so it's just everything. Well, given the last one, I'm gonna go ahead and just say this one probably also sucks, because changing colors doesn't seem like a super relevant mechanic. 2 mana, 1/3. Unless there's like something crazy with the Scarecrow type, monster type, creature type. I'm gonna say this one sucks too.
My
All
trick.
right.
You have fallen
No,
Yeah,
you
for my
tricked
trick.
me.
This
What
is
the fuck?
the side by side. So there's a key
No.
difference here. So Painter Servant fucks, and the reason that Painter Servant fucks is that an effect that passively changes characteristics of things that aren't in play can have like some really
Ridiculous.
big consequences.
Okay.
So
I'll bring up
like
a card
rather
here.
than like activating abilities to change stuff as it's being used, this thing is changing every card in your deck to
Constantly.
match colors.
I see.
And because of their obsession with colors back in the day, there are cards that care about the colors of cards in your deck.
Okay.
See
I
check
what
out,
Mira
this
just
one
linked.
that I
Yeah,
linked.
here's a card that Mira has posted. This card is called Grindstone. The 1-mana artifact. Pay 3 and tap. Target player puts the top 2 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. If both cards share a color, repeat this process. So, okay, so it's...
So where do you think that goes?
Right, so it's 7 mana, win the game with 2 cards is what it sounds like.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So typically, like this is designed in that all lands are colorless. So that's supposed to be the stop here. Oh, you milled over a
But-
land, it's over.
Right.
Painter Servant changes everything in the game to be one color, so it just keeps going.
I see. Okay. All right.
Mostly what you see Servant in these days is a legacy deck that's red. It's just, what do they call it? Painter Stone, some shit like that. I don't know. It's these 2 cards and then a shell that involves a lot of like goblins that fetch artifacts from your deck and put them in your graveyard. And you
I
can
see.
like switch artifacts in your graveyard and play. But also there's a card called Red Elemental Blast that says counter target blue spell, destroy target blue permanent. Guess what,
Oh.
asshole? All your stuff is blue now.
Yeah,
So my Red
yeah.
Elemental Blasts are ripping hot.
That's true. You
So this
did you trick you played a dirty trick on me. Right, with
So it's
these
it's a very dangerous design space to play, like especially whenever it's symmetrical like this. Things that change the characteristics of both players' libraries and graveyards and stuff is usually something they avoid now because it ends up being like pretty dangerous like this. Painter Servant isn't like oppressive in Legacy or anything because it's Legacy, so
Yeah. There's
everything
two.
is
Right,
popping
yeah,
up.
yeah.
But there's another card that's similar but even worse in a way called Mycosynth Lattice, which is the same effect
I have
except
heard of that one.
rather than changing the color of everything, it changes everything to an artifact.
Right, yeah.
Which
That was
it's
like
extremely
super banned
easy-
everywhere, right? Like
yeah,
in-
it's extremely
yeah.
easy to to completely lock somebody out of the game if every card they have is an artifact.
Right.
Yeah, like Mycosynth Lattice with Karn, the Great Creator, they can't activate abilities of artifacts anymore. Well, all of their lands are artifacts, so that means
Yeah.
that they can't make mana anymore.
That's really
Yep.
funny. Yeah, I have heard
Yep.
of Microsynth Lattice before. That one I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Legitimately I watch one Magic the Gathering YouTube channel, and it's the Card Market channel, and that's it. Like, so anything that's shown up there I will have some idea of, but they mostly just like play, you know, random formats and stuff, so I don't think it'll help me too much here. as we can see from my dead even 4-4 score, you know.
Yeah, and this new set that's coming out at the end of the month it has a new card that does something similar. It's not symmetrical, but it changes every creature card in your deck to be of a single creature type of your
I
choosing.
see. I mean,
Which
that
I'm
sounds like it
very-
might be good.
I'm very interested in that because, yeah, if you can make everything into one specific creature type, there's a lot of powerful stuff you can do.
All right. Well, can't win them all, but maybe this next one I'll be able to get for sure. I'm at least keeping it even. I'm not like completely getting smoked here, so
Yeah, no, you're doing good.
I'm
see.
learning. I'm learning more tricks as I go through these.
Yep.
Which one do I want to get? Let's do this one.
Alrighty. Neat looking guy.
That's from my days when I started playing.
Alright, we have Vexing Devil. 1 red. He's a devil, if you can believe it. When Vexing Devil enters the battlefield, any opponent may have it deal 4 damage to him or her. If a player does, sacrifice Vexing Devil. Okay. I see. So this is reminding me of that black card. But it's a creature, and there's basically... may have it deal... Okay. Okay, so I play Vexing Devil. My opponent chooses to take 4 damage, and it sacks it.
Yep.
Yes.
That 1 mana, I mean, in a way... Okay, so Lightning Bolt is 1 mana, right? And that's 3 damage.
Yep.
So, isn't this just, like, better, basically? I mean, I guess being a creature rather than a instant, like, has its own downsides and positives. I'm gonna say... Yeah, I think this card fucks, and I think it's because it seems very versatile. I mean, worst case scenario, it's a 4 damage lightning bolt, and best case scenario is you get to swing at them multiple times. I mean, I'm imagining turn 1, you play this, turn 2, you play 2 more or something, right? And like, just, that seems pretty good, like, especially for red, which wants to win very quickly. I'm gonna say this card fucks.
All right.
Lock in.
So, locked in. This one actually sucks.
No, I'm so bad at this game. Fuck.
So here's the thing, right? So this is a card from Innistrad block, which makes it legal in Modern. It's not legal in Pioneer or Standard. So in Modern, like, Burn is a real archetype. Like, yeah, you'll fill your deck with just like lightning bolts, stuff that does 3 damage for 1 mana, so on and so forth. The thing about that is that burn decks are very light on creatures, but the creatures that they do have are super efficient.
Mm-hmm.
What they have is they have Goblin Guide, which is a 1 mana 2/2 with haste, and the trade-off for that is that whenever it attacks, your opponent reveals the top part of their library, and if it's a land, they put it into their hand. It's not really a big deal if you're trying to kill them fast anyway. And then there's also Monastery Swiftspear, which is a 1 mana 1/2 with haste and prowess. And prowess gives it +1/+1 until the end of turn whenever you cast a non-creature spell.
Right.
So if those are your 2 main bodies on the field, like, those are 2 bodies that can attack turn 1 and can just keep going. Goblin Guide is probably going to be able to at least get 4 damage out before it dies. Mm-hmm. And Monastery Swiftspear can grow bigger and bigger if you just cast more non-creature spells.
Right.
Notably, Vexing Devil is not a non-creature spell, so it does not synergize with Monastery Swiftspear.
Gotcha.
The other thing about this is that there's not really a choice to be made here. Vexing Devil, if it comes into play, your opponent is not going to let you hit them with it.
Right.
If they don't have removal, they're going to take the 4, which makes it do more damage than a lightning bolt for sure. But it's also like something that you can't do at instant speed, which sometimes matters.
Yeah.
But it's also, if your opponent has a way to kill creatures, they can kill your lightning bolt.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
What if your lightning bolt could die and do nothing?
That is a good point. I didn't think that far through, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
So like this looks good, and it's kind of like a trap for people because it looks like a really efficient way to get damage on the board.
Yeah, it tricked me
for burn.
Dude, when I was in high school, I was scared of this motherfucker.
But yeah, there's not really a choice here. Like, Vexing Devil is not going to be able to actually deal combat damage, no matter what. Like, against somebody that is playing smart, they're either just going to take that 4 and move on, or they're going to kill it and you get nothing.
All right. Well, I'll take the L on that one. It seems like I fell into the trap that other players fell into when they saw this card. But
Classic.
it does make sense.
Awesome.
I was thinking of the versatility as like a positive, but I definitely see how
Yeah, it's
giving
not
your
really...
opponent a choice is not generally something you want to do in a card game. You kind of just want to do things to them and not
Yeah, it's
let
something
them
that
pick.
it's something that they tried for a while, but their designers have like in interviews have or like commentary or whatever, they've commented on the fact that like, yeah, we kind of stopped doing these kinds of effects because there was always a right choice.
Right, yeah. That's a good point.
So giving your opponents choices wasn't really like very interesting in that regard. There's just always something that they were going to pick, and it kind of made the effect not interesting.
That makes sense. Well, we have a card here from Erarg. Let's see. Erarg has posted, well, it's smaller, but this card is called Lizard Wizard, and it's 3 red, 1 Phyrexian red, and a red or a black, and it's a creature lizard. And says, when it enters the battlefield, you may look through your deck and find any card you like. Then your opponent has to guess what the card is, but you can give them a hint, like what color the card is. If they guess the color of the card, then you lose half of your life. But if they did not guess the card, you could untap everything you control, and everything you have gains all abilities, and it's getting hard to read, and becomes +5/+5, and it deals a lot of damage as a 5/7. Yeah, this card fucks for sure. I don't even need to, like, I don't even need to know. This card fucks. I mean, you can find any card, and then your opponent has to guess what the card is.
And you could give them a hint,
And
like
you
what
can
color
give
it is. But if they guess the color, you lose half your life.
But what if I
here's
don't
the
give
thing.
them a hint?
It says you can give them a hint. It doesn't say you must give them a hint. So if you don't have to give them a hint, you don't have to give them a hint. Okay.
And everything gains all abilities.
Well, I won't give myself a point for that one because it's just simply too easy to determine the power. Is this a real card? Why don't you look deep inside and ask yourself that question?
Yeah. Lowercase L, lowercase W, Lizard Wizard. Yeah. Unfinity Classic. That's a staple card.
All right, hit me with another one. I gotta get, now I'm like, now that I'm behind, it's like, I gotta get back up. I gotta be in the green here.
All right, you want to do one? Oh. Yeah, I can do one. I can do one. Okay. Yeah, I'll do this.
Alrighty. A dual type. I don't know if we've seen one of these yet. Or not dual type, dual color. Yep. We got...
Well, we saw one with Lizard Wizard.
That's true. And a little bit of Phyrexian mana. We got Burning Tree Emissary. 2 red or 2 green. Human
Call
Shaman.
that hybrid mana.
Right.
In the business.
It's a 2/2. 2/2 for 2. When Burning Tree Emissary enters the battlefield, add 1 red and 1 green to your mana pool. I mean, it's a pretty simple card. I know that most what is colloquially referred to as a mana dork is usually a 1 mana creature. This one costs 2, but gives you 2. It does pay for itself. But you only get it once when it enters. But there are ways to trigger enter the battlefield effects multiple times. And the fact that it's instant and you don't have to tap it or anything. This is a tough one just because it's such a simple effect that it's hard to see how it could be like super broken. But it doesn't seem bad. I mean, at the very least, I mean, a 2/2 for 2 is like a pretty standard stat distribution. Can I get a ruling on what year? What year was this?
So this is
2013.
Yeah, this is from Dragon's Maze, which is Pioneer legal.
No,
Okay.
that's Gate Crash.
A gate crash. Well, there is a picture of a gate, so that makes it.
Something. Okay, the only reason I would pick fucks for this card is because there's some way to obviously re-trigger this a bunch of times and get a bunch of mana, right? Like that's pretty obvious. I'm not able to conjure in my head how exactly you could do that, but I mean, at the very least, the fact that it pays for itself, if you have like 2 in your hand, it's turn 2, you basically get 2 creatures for free, which doesn't seem bad. And I mean, the type of mana probably doesn't matter too much if you're building your deck around it. I'm gonna say this card, this is like the hardest one yet, because it's so simple. All right, I'm gonna lock in. I'm gonna say this card fucks. Locked in. I think this card is useful.
You are absolutely correct.
Yay!
Yeah. So, yeah, a 2/2 that pays for itself. That is a aggro classic. I can tell you a typical play pattern in a game of Pioneer.
Mm-hmm.
So, say your opponent goes first. They play like a forest and pass. Then you get to go, you play your swamp, you cast Thoughtseize, lose 2 life, look at their hand, they have 3 Burning Tree emissaries in it, and you put your head basically you put your head in your hands because it's probably over for you. So yeah, like this allows you to really high roll whenever you're playing an aggro deck, at least in Pioneer. Aggro decks are not treated very well in Modern, but in Pioneer, it's still pretty decent. And what you can do is just like you play however many Burning Tree emissaries that you have in your hand on turn 2, and then if you're really lucky, if you're really blessed on that given day, you can play a Reckless Bushwhacker to finish it all off. And let me get the link for that.
Do we have a visual on the Bushwhacker?
Yeah.
Bushwhacker sighted.
Yeah, there's that. So you can play a Reckless Bushwhacker when you're done. So Bushwhacker is a 3-mana creature that can be cast for 2 mana if you've already cast a spell on it.
Okay.
And if you pay that 2 mana cost, all your other creatures get +1 power and haste until end of turn.
Okay, yeah.
So
I see
basically,
the synergies.
if you're having an ideal aggro turn, you dump your hand of Burning Tree emissaries and then play a Bushwhacker and take out most of their life on turn 2.
Right. Yeah. That seems pretty good.
Yep.
All right. Okay, we're back on the board. We're back to even at least. I'm glad I could I'm glad I could reason out that free creatures sounds pretty good.
Yeah, specifically in an aggro deck,
yeah,
that kind of stuff goes over really well.
All right, 5 and 5, baby.
All right. It wouldn't be a fucks or sucks without this card.
All right. Okay.
Yes, this one's a classic.
All righty. It's got me a little worried, but that's all right. I'm sure I can reason through it. We have Platinum Angel, 7 mana, very expensive, only for a 4/4 with flying. You can't lose the game, and your opponents can't win the game. Okay, that's a very simple effect. I mean, okay, my immediate thought, it doesn't have any way to protect itself, and it doesn't win the game, it just stalls the game. So, for 7 mana, 4/4 is, I would say, on the bad side, from what I understand. I know that angels are like a played archetype, I believe. Like, well, this one's colorless though. I think they're normally white, right?
They're usually pretty white, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, I mean, I think this card probably sucks. I think that it's hard for me to imagine a scenario where playing this for 7 mana progresses the game towards a state where you're winning. Like, this seems like, unless there's some kind of really dumb combo where you play this and then, okay, so like there's a card in Yu-Gi-Oh called, like, I think it's called Self-Destruct Button, where it basically kills you and your opponent at the same time, or it used to. They had to change the card. They had to change the card so that it kills you first, because it just made games really stupid.
Wait a minute, that's stupid.
Yeah, so they had to errata the card to make it so that it kills you before your opponent, so people just didn't draw all the time. But that's the only thing I can think of with a card like this is like, okay, there's some dumb other card that potentially is cheap and makes you and your opponent draw. But that seems like a stupid card to print. I mean, it was dumb when Konami printed it, so I don't imagine Wizards would do something like that. I'm going to say that this card sucks because it doesn't actually get you any closer to winning, and the stat line is very bad for the mana cost. I'm going to lock in sucks.
So there are actually cards that say stuff like, it'll be like 2 mana and it'll say take another turn after this, but at the end of that turn you lose.
Right.
But even with those cards existing, yeah, this is dog shit. This is a Timmy classic. Yeah,
that's what I thought. I was pretty confident.
Platinum Angel is quite destructible.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Immediately I was like, okay, that's great that you can't lose, but like it's got 4 toughness. Like what? It doesn't even say like hexproof or anything. It's like, what are you gonna do?
You're paying 7 mana to get blown out by a 1 mana or 2 mana removal spell.
You're not even paying 7 mana to win. You're paying 7 mana to not lose. Like that's a loser's mentality. It's like, oh gosh, I hope I don't lose. I better play Platinum Angel so I don't lose.
Yeah, I think people were making references to it in chat, but the best way to use Platinum Angel is to put it out and then start cheating because they can't DQ you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That one. I was pretty confident. I was like, unless there's some kind of weird combo or some keyword that would make this worth playing, it seems pretty cut and dry to me.
Yep. You bet.
All right, hit me with another. I'm up now. 6-5. We're doing good. I think we have like 30 cards total, but I don't know if we'll do all of them because it's already been like an hour and a half. So
yeah,
we'll do as many as you guys want to watch, and then maybe we'll do it again if you guys like the format. Maybe I can show them some Yu-Gi-Oh cards. That might be fun. I'm gonna swap it around a little bit. Maybe we can all look at cards from a game none of us play and just like throwing darts at a dartboard. Like, I don't know, I guess maybe this Hearthstone card is really good. None of us play the game, so whatever. We don't know.
All right, let's see. Let's try this one on for size.
Alrighty. I don't think I'll be able to pronounce this one. Whoop, not this one. We have Yumizawa's Jite? Is that close?
Easy.
Yumizawa's Jite.
Yeah, you got it.
That is 2 mana for a legendary artifact. I didn't even know they made legendary artifact. Oh, no, wait, I did know that. I've played
they make legendaries of everything.
Right.
It's pretty rare, but yeah.
2 mana, legendary artifact, equipment, which means an equipment means that you play it, but then you also have to actually equip it to a card usually by paying mana. It says at the bottom,
you can see the equip cost at the bottom. Yeah.
So, whenever equipped creature deals combat damage, put 2 charge counters on Umizawa's Jite. Remove a charge counter. Choose one. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Or target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Or you gain 2 life. Okay. So my first question is, I know that there are a lot of different types of counters in Magic the Gathering. Is charge counter a common is this question cheating to ask if charge counters are common on cards, or if it's like they kind of just, it's like more specific to this card exclusively?
Charge counters is a like universal mechanic that a lot of different things use, and manipulating them is a thing that you can do. Like proliferate is a mechanic that exists.
Yeah. Okay.
But
okay.
it depends on whether or not that'll come up.
Right. Okay. So that I was just making sure is this a special counter just for this card, or is this a generic?
Yeah. Charge is actually one of the most generic counters. There's a bunch of stuff in Mirrodin and New Phyrexia that cares about charge counters.
Okay. Okay. So it's 2 to play, 2 to equip, but I know that there are ways to cheat equips, but also it feels like if you were cheating an equip onto something, you would probably pick that hammer. I know that there's the hammer. I'm aware of the 10 equip hammer or whatever.
Hammer.
Yeah. The very short amount of time I was looking at Modern, that was like one of the decks that people played. I don't know what people play now, but the hammer time, I believe it was called.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems, again, it's hard to imagine this card being bad just because it seems so versatile. You do have to deal combat damage first, which means, I mean, I'm imagining on turn 2, you probably have a creature out from turn 1, and then you can play it, but then you'd have to wait until the next turn to equip it, and then you'd be able to attack at that point, and then immediately get a -1/-1 or a +2/+2. Gaining 2 life doesn't seem super relevant. It's probably more about the stat manipulation.
Do note that you do get 2 counters.
Right. And you can use as many as you want. It's not like a once per turn.
Nope.
And it's every time you deal damage, so I'm imagining, but it is combat damage only. And it's only when the equipped creature deals it. But I'm imagining, I mean, if you put this on you can re-equip, right? Like, that's just how it works. You just pay another 2 and you can move it to something else.
Yeah. But it's only as a sorcerer. You can't do that instant speed to move shit around on other people's turn.
So it has to be your turn.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna say this card probably fucks. I mean, I'm having a hard time. This just seems like generically useful. Like, this seems like, I mean, the fact that it's colorless also seems like, I mean, why would you not put this in your deck if you had room for it? Like, unless you were doing something that really was not combat focused. It seems like, I mean, hey, you probably will have 2 mana at some point, and it seems like it'd be really nice to have. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna say this card fucks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right you are. How right you are. Umizawa's
There's something about it
Jite.
that you didn't even notice.
Really? What did I not know? What did I miss?
It says when it deals combat damage. It doesn't say to a player. You block with something that's holding this, it will get the charges.
Wow, I
Yeah.
totally skipped over that.
Umizawa's
wow.
Jite is probably the strongest equipment ever.
Wow.
The way it plays out is, as soon as something equipped with Jite attacks, it's over.
Really?
Because it doesn't even matter if they survive combat. They will do damage, get charge counters on Jite, and then even if they die, like, you can just remove a counter from Jite to kill whatever blocked it. You can put it back on to another creature, and you'll start making it stronger and stronger. Because, like, as soon as you do combat damage, like, say you have a 2/2 on the field, like a 2-mana 2/2. If you have a Jite and it gets 2 charge counters from just being alive, basically, you're attacking as a 6/6 for free, practically.
Yeah, okay. The fact that I totally missed that it doesn't have to be combat damage to a player, like, that is like, yeah, because I was pretty sure it was a good card to begin with, but the fact that it's like, Oh, even if you block something, they're still getting the counters. Like that's
Yep.
yeah. That
You block
totally
it,
makes sense.
You block it and their equipped creature dies, but you can activate the GT even if it's not equipped. So like you can still do stuff with it. Even if it's not equipped, you can start giving. Oh wait, actually it says equipped creature, but you can just start like making their creatures weaker even without equipping the GT.
Right.
It's just it lets you do ridiculous stuff. The story for this is that whenever they were designing the set, initially that -1/-1 was actually removing a charge counter to get like a black mana or something. And they thought, oh, well, this doesn't seem like it's what people want on a card like this. Because like, well, if they're using equipment, they want to attack with creatures, right? We don't really need to give them ritual mana.
Yeah.
How about we switch it to enhanced combat or something? And so they did it, and it became the most busted thing ever.
That's really funny because I'm going to assume you guys didn't pick this one because I'm pretty sure it's fairly well known, but isn't that basically what happened with Skull Clamp? Isn't that a card that they basically changed at like the 0 hour and it became the most broken thing ever?
They tried to nerf Skull Clamp by making it give -1 toughness, but that actually turned it into
better.
a sack outlet that drew cards.
Right,
Because Skull Clamp says when the equipped creature dies, you draw 2 cards, and then they made it give -1 toughness.
Right,
So it's like, okay,
yeah.
you put this on a 1/1, that's just 1 mana, draw 2.
And
Yeah,
there
in
are a
GTA's
lot of
case, I don't
ways
think-
to make a lot of random tokens and shit in Magic that have 1 toughness.
Yeah, in GTA's case, I don't think they thought that it was too strong. They just thought like, oh, well, this doesn't seem like the right design for this card. And then they changed it. And it kind of doesn't matter what they changed it to, because I think getting the 2 charge counters every time it does combat damage is just broken no matter what.
Yeah, if that said deals combat damage to a player, it would be still a decent card, I think. But the fact that you can't do anything, like the only way you can interact with this thing is just to remove it with like targeted artifact removal or something.
Yeah, you have to try and kill the creature before it can even attack, or
Right.
you have to blow up the GT itself. It's a super strong card that is banned in Modern.
That makes sense. Totally makes sense. Okay. All right, I'm climbing my way back up, climbing up the ladder over here. We're getting there. +2. Hit me with another one. I'm ready. I'm on a hot streak. 3 in a row. I can do it.
Check this out.
Alrighty. Oh, nice. All right, I like this guy. But is he a good card? This is a card called Thragtusk. Tusk. Thragtusk. For 4 generic and 1 green. He's a beast. And he was made in 2015, apparently. When Thragtusk enters the
That
battlefield...
says 13.
Oh, that says 13? Shit. Oh, you're right. That's 13. It's really small on my screen.
The year specifically 2012.
Yeah. Okay. When he enters the battlefield, you gain 5 life. That seems okay. When he leaves the battlefield, put a 3/3 green beast creature token onto the battlefield. Well, I'm kind of going off of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sensibilities whenever I think about life gain, because life gain in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is basically worthless. There's, like, not really. I know that there are some, like... There's definitely more stuff in Magic that has stuff that says, like, when you gain life, do something.
Mhm.
But even then, that's usually on white cards, and this is a green card. So I'm gonna say that the life gain is probably not super relevant. 5/3 for 5 is, like, slightly below what I would expect, and then when it leaves, you put a 3/3. I'm leaning towards sucks, just because I really feel like that life gain is not really going to do much. Replacing itself is nice, but it's not like it really recurs more than the one time. Unless there's something that specifically cares about the beast typing, I'm gonna say this card sucks. I'm gonna lock in sucks on this one. I don't think this card is doing anything super interesting or particularly special.
Now, I don't know how you want to rate this, because
So-
I have it on the chart as fucked, past tense.
Oh, okay.
So,
Oh no.
this one is a bit technical because really Thragtusk isn't good anymore
right.
because
Right.
because it's only legal in modern and earlier formats.
Okay.
But Thragtusk came out in 2012 and stayed good until last year.
Oh wow. I think
Like-
that counts as a fucks for sure. I'd say if it was good for that long, I think I just got it wrong then.
Like it was only last year whenever the Tron players stopped playing Thragtusk.
It's for
There's something you have to
Tron?
note. There's something you have to note about what it says. It doesn't say when it dies you get a 3/3 beast. It says when it leaves. So if you blink this dude, you get the leaves trigger and you get another ETB trigger.
Okay.
But typically they aren't the people that would play it wouldn't blink it. The reason that it was good is because Tron decks in modern historically were mono green. Like mostly they were just colorless mana, but they
Right.
would pack forests as well. And they pack forests because one, it let you play like card selection stuff in green, and two, it let you play Thragtusk. So Thragtusk, you're right in that most of the time life gain is negligible. 2 life gain basically doesn't matter. 3 doesn't really matter either. 4, you're starting to get somewhere. If a big body is giving you 5 life whenever it comes in, that is like a pretty good stabilizer.
Yeah,
and
that's a good
and this
point.
is like for a deck that's already like basically leaving itself open for the first 3 turns in the game to get the big Tron mana.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think you're pretty chill with just like taking some hits from an aggro player, and then all right, I got my mana. I'm gonna play Thragtusk. I'm gonna get back all the life that you made me lose, and now you can't attack through this.
Right.
Because even if you get something to 3 power to kill it, it gets replaced by another 3/3, and like you're just not gonna have enough bodies.
Okay. Yeah. No, that
And-
makes sense.
And just like it's in general, just like all right, this is something that's cheaper than everything else that Tron plays. It stabilizes. If they end up playing their board wipe, they get a replacement creature whenever this leaves.
Right.
And yeah, like it's just solid. Now the game has changed, and people don't want to play anything that existed before 2015 practically.
Right. Yeah. It seems like the power creep in Magic the Gathering has been they've crept the power creep. The power creep is power crept.
In modern, it's pretty much like that. They're afraid to put this in a new set, though. Like you can tell they're
really?
afraid because this is not legal in Pioneer or Standard.
Okay.
They've made cards that are similar to Thragtusk that are significantly weaker. Because like any lower power format, this is kind of like a really strong stabilizer that lets you take the advantage, basically.
Okay. Yeah. No, honestly, I think I was probably writing off the life gain because of my thoughts about Yu-Gi-Oh! But I guess if a card did say gain 2,000 life points when you play it, and then it also did other stuff, like, it wouldn't be bad. Like, it's pretty, like, it's not gonna... It's not that helpful in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you're basically getting OTK'd like every single, every single deck revolves around killing somebody in one turn.
Yeah,
But-
you don't die in one hit in Magic.
Yeah, it's a little
typically,
different for
Usually.
sure.
So gaining 1/4 of your starting life total off of like a decent guy is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that
1/4 your
totally
life,
makes sense.
and he's a decent guy.
And I totally
Hell
missed
yeah.
that it just says leaves and it doesn't say like destroys or something. So that I missed. That was just I missed that part. Okay, well,
I have this card open up on Gatherer, which is Magic's like the official website where you look up cards. It kind of sucks. It's really slow and the picture quality's terrible. It has comments going all the way back to like 2012.
wow.
Shard Phoenix says in December 2012, this card's name should be $30 entry ticket to play green in standard or in modern.
Wow. 30
Classics.
bucks. Damn.
Oh yeah, I
Imagine
forgot.
that.
I bookmarked Burning Tree Emissary 2 because there's stuff that was funny. Like, they disabled comments on Gatherer a long time ago, but stuff from that 2012, 2013 era still has a bunch of comments. And for Burning Tree Emissary, there's a couple people saying like, "Oh, anybody gonna make a pot joke in here?"
Nice.
But then there's somebody that they're named Think Original, and they say, "People aren't making pot jokes because we aren't all children."
Damn.
The
got
Burning
him.
Tree clan is the most powerful clan in the entire Gruul faction.
Oh shit. He's laying down the lore. He's the lore master.
Chad.
So that part I really enjoyed.
Yeah, some of the Gatherer comments are pretty good.
Well, I'm sorry for underestimating your power, Thragtusk. I will not let it happen again. I respect your ability to gain life and also summon beast tokens onto the battlefield multiple times a
Damn
game.
right.
All right, hit me with another one. Maybe we'll do like 2 more probably. That'll put us at 2 hours. We can save
All
the
right.
rest for another episode.
All right, Mira, you do the next one because I want to do the last one.
Oh, let's see which
Can I end with a positive ratio? I'm actually really
little.
I'm surprised and happy that I managed to keep it so close the whole time and didn't just get like blown out.
I'll throw you here. Judging by all the stuff that we just discussed, this one should be a little bit of a curveball for you. It's also a little bit of a curveball because of what the card looks like.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Might be kind of hard to read this one, but we'll give it our best shot. I didn't know they made... I mean, I've seen cards where they're like side by side, but I haven't seen one where it's upside down before. Okay.
Yeah, this is before they
Kamigawa's
figured
flip
out.
cards are funny.
Yeah, this is before they figured out how to do double-sided cards.
Okay.
Yup.
So we have Runetail, Kitsune Ascendant for 2 generic and 1 white. When you have 30 or more life, flip Runetail, Kitsune Ascendant. So that's a 2/2, and then it flips, and it says Runetail's Essence. Here, can I flip this? Oh shit! Sorry, I'm operating OBS. Yeah, there we go. Runetail's Essence. Okay, so it turns from a creature into an enchantment, and it says prevent all damage that would be dealt to creatures you control. Okay. But you need 30 life. And it costs 3 mana. So 30 life is 50% more life than you start with.
In most formats, yeah.
Yeah. In the formats that I've played, both players start with 20. I mean, there's the obvious thing here where it's like, oh, in Commander, don't you start with like
Yeah.
30 or 40 life?
40.
So,
Yeah, it instantly flips.
right, so like, oh,
we're not talking about
turn 3.
Commander.
I know, but so that's the only
Yeah,
thing is
yeah.
like, oh yeah, haha, you can play this and then you can't take any damage to your creatures anymore.
Yep.
But getting to 30 life on turn 3 seems like it'd be potentially difficult. I mean, I'm assuming you will have taken some damage by the time you can even cast the card in the first place. So you're probably gonna have to gain more than 10 life. And I mean, the effect is pretty good. I mean, if they don't have any way to remove the enchantment, it basically just says like you can just block forever. Like that seems pretty significant. But it doesn't. This is another card where I feel like it's similar to the Platinum Angel in that it doesn't really get you any closer to winning. It just prevents you from losing. Which is why I think I'm gonna go with Sucks for the same reason that Platinum Angel sucks. Because, number one, this one has a... Like, to even get the good effect in the first place, you do have to do something else, which is not trivial, and then the resulting effect, like, doesn't progress the game state towards winning. So unless there's, like, a way to immediately cheat this card out on turn 1 and immediately flip it, I'm going to say this card sucks. Locking in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty straightforward one. Rule of thumb is that if you see something with the Kamigawa flip format, you can just ignore it.
Really? It's just not good.
Most of them are pretty fucking garbage. Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's one that flips into something that says counter the first spell played every turn. Something like that.
That seems all right.
That one's a
Well,
little silly,
does it count
I think.
on your turn too?
Yes.
Oh, well, that
believe so.
seems a bit
I
less
assume so.
good then.
Kamigawa had a lot of jank in it,
Yeah.
in case you couldn't tell.
Kamigawa had a lot of the worst cards and also a lot of the strongest cards.
Like Jite. Jite was a Kamigawa card.
Oh, they were just they were
yeah, they
on
were
it.
just going ham for that
Yeah.
one. But yeah, it's 3 mana for a 2/2 that does nothing on the front.
Right.
The other guy can just bolt it in response to the trigger.
It's a good
Yeah,
point.
it sucks.
It makes sense. I think if there's one thing that I think will like helps me out determining magic cards coming from a somewhat from a Yu-Gi-Oh background is like if a card looks like it doesn't progress the game towards you winning, it means that it's probably not worth playing over a card that gets you closer to winning. Like there's a lot of quote unquote good cards in Yu-Gi-Oh, but they're all just like kind of win more cards where it's like, well, yeah, you could play this, but if you're playing it, you're already winning to the point where you probably just want to try to end the game rather than like playing something cool that makes you stronger generically. All right.
Yeah.
Well, at the very least, I can't lose, but I could get a high score of 9 points to 6. So Logmore,
All right.
hit me with the final card of the night. Let's take a look.
All right, here it is.
All right. This is we've seen this guy.
It's this guy again.
It's this guy. I won't let his previous actions cloud my judgment. All right. Tybalt's Trickery. 1 generic, 1 red. It's an instant. Counter target spell. All right. Off to a good start, because I don't think red normally does that. Choose 1, 2, or 3 at wait. Okay, choose at random. Interesting. Not like roll a dice or something. Just choose 1, 2, or 3 at random. I'm assuming it's... Oh, it's the
referring
spell that
to
you're
the spell.
countering?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Its controller mills that many cards, then exiles cards... Holy shit, man. Then exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card with a different name than that spell. They may cast that card without paying its mana cost, then put the exiled cards on the bottom of their library in a random order. What the fuck? Hold on. Okay. You counter a spell.
Yep.
I counter my opponent's spell. My opponent mills cards until they hit... Well, okay, no, but
Well,
first I pick
first
1, 2, or 3,
mills a
and then...
couple.
And then it mills them for 1, 2. What does it mean, choose at random? Like, what
roll
does
a
that
dice.
fucking mean?
It just means roll a dice.
I know, but they worded it in such a dumb way. Like, why does it not just say roll a dice? Whatever. So that first they mill 1, 2, or 3 cards. That doesn't seem super relevant. Then they exile cards until they hit any other card with a different name from the one that you countered, and then they can cast it without paying its mana cost. All of this just to counter a spell in red? That doesn't seem worth... I mean, what if they hit like their goddamn 9-drop or something? This seems like a pretty steep cost. I mean, it could be good. They could just hit something that is irrelevant. But is that worth it to counter a spell? This one's definitely tricky. I'm leaning towards sucks just because it's another card where, like, I mean, you're not technically leaving it up to the opponent to choose something, but you are letting them do something. I mean, it makes sense that they don't want to just have a 2-mana counter spell in a off color, but the cost of being able that they could just draw anything, and then they don't even lose the card. I mean, it's just exile to then return to the library. So it's not like, it's not a mill card. I mean, it mills, but you're not milling more than 3.
Yeah, exile is very commonly used as a like temporary zone.
Right.
In this case, you're just exiling cards until you hit a valid one, and then you shuffle everything back.
Right, yeah. So it's like, so it's not even really like a mill card. It really is just a weird counter spell. I don't know. I think the piece of information I'm missing is how badly would I guess a mono red player want to counter a spell. It seems like that just that wouldn't line up with the red game plan that I'm aware of, which is, you know, you just want to aggro, like, win immediately. I mean, I guess, yeah, because if you're playing red, wouldn't you just, like, tap out every turn? Like, aren't you just casting as much shit as you possibly could cast? Anyway, like, when are you gonna hold up 2 mana to counter a spell in the first place, on top of giving your opponent a free card? I'm gonna say this card sucks. I don't see the vision here. It's a very weird card, but it doesn't seem like it would be worth playing in a red deck. I think that's what's making me think that it sucks. So I'm going to lock in sucks.
You fell into the same trap that the designers did when they made this card.
No.
So the fact of the matter is that it doesn't matter which way you answer. This card fucks and sucks.
Wait, what? How does that
both.
work? It can't be both.
Because Tybalt's Trickery turns every game into a coin flip.
Okay.
What you do is you build a deck that has 4 copies of Tybalt's Trickery, like 4 copies of a 0-mana spell.
Oh, god damn it. Do you counter your own spell?
You count,
Yep.
you get to turn 2.
God damn it, I just thought of that.
You mulligan until you have a 0-mana spell in Tybalt's Trickery.
No.
On turn 2, you play your 0-mana spell, you counter it, you hope to hit Imrakul or Ulamog.
Oh, fucking hell.
And if you do, you win the game.
Ah, fuck. I should have. Oh, damn it. Oh, I should have thought about that. My dumb ass is like, why would you want to counter a spell if you're playing red? I fucking did not even think about just countering your own spell.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
son of a bitch.
you counter your own spell, and if you hit another copy of Tybalt's Trickery, you lose, and if you hit an Eldrazi Titan, you win.
Oh my god. Oh
and
my
it's
God.
like the dumbest play pattern ever.
Did they ban it? Is this card
they
banned?
They banned it in older formats. In Pioneer, for some reason, it's still legal, even though it's still like a stupid ass card. I don't know why it's legal in Pioneer, but yeah,
I guess maybe there's not enough like good targets or something.
There's one good target in Pioneer, and that might be why they consider it acceptable. But it's like, yeah, it's banned in modern because like, yeah, people rushing out and just like flipping their coin and being done with the game is not fun. Like it's such a bad design.
It's pretty much like Exodia FTK guys, except in this case you're not sitting there for 15 minutes waiting for them to go through their thing and then they scoop, you know?
Yeah,
it's basically the same thing.
That totally makes sense. I totally I definitely missed targeting your own or countering your own spell. Like,
yep, that's
not until you basically said that it's good and I had to reread it and like rethink about it and recontextualize it. Was I like, oh my god, of course you just counter your own spell. It's just like mega cascade for yourself for 2 mana.
Yep.
For some reason they did not. I guess I shouldn't say for some reason. This comes up a lot where they just don't consider people using a card to target the wrong thing.
Yeah, that's so funny because I feel like that That doesn't. I mean, it's not like super often, but it's happened enough times where you think they would like see that when they're designing the cards now, right? Like,
and yeah, like Missing Text says, that's why there's the random mill 1, 2, or 3, so you can't stock. You can't stack the top of your deck.
That's not even it. That is just so that your opponent cannot like scry or surveil in response to get the right thing. They did not take any consideration into you countering your own spell with Dibble's
oh my
Trickery.
gosh,
Yep.
that is so.
And also,
funny.
isn't this from the same set as the other big Tybalt that we looked at earlier, who also fucked?
Yeah.
So you could use Tybalt's Trickery to cheat out the 7-mana Tybalt.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
That is okay. Yep. No, I did not see the vision, but upon closer inspection, I think if we do this again and I guess more cards, I really got to pay more attention to the targets, to the potential targets of the spell, because if I would have realized that, I think it would have been a lot easier, but it totally tricked me.
Nothing quite gets worse than Tybalt's Trickery, though.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, this is a really good one to end on. Yeah, Magic's language is very precise. It kind of gets a bit blurry when you're looking at older cards and they're using older terminology or older phrasing, but the language in Magic is very specifically like precise and lawyer-like, so you know what it does just reading it.
Yeah.
And learning how to read cards that way, like, I don't want to say it's like programming, but I don't know, it's like it's very definite, you know.
Yeah.
It is a language.
It makes sense.
MIT Scratch.
Well, that's gonna be the last card for this time. We did 15. I barely squeaked ahead with 8 right and 7 wrong, so I'm gonna chalk that up as a win, even if it was a bit of a nail biter. It was positive. Thank you very much, Log and Mira, for I kind of just like thrust this upon you guys. I was watching some YouTube videos where they did this, and I was like, damn, that looks fun. I want to do it. Hey, I've got friends that play Magic. Will you guys please do this for me?
Yeah, this kind of stuff is lots of fun.
Yeah, so thank you. And we only went through half of them, so that means that we can do another one sometime. If people liked it, then we can do some more. I do think, would you guys be interested in doing one where I make you guess about Yu-Gi-Oh cards?
We could try.
I feel like I might have like more Yu-Gi-Oh knowledge than you have Magic knowledge, though.
That it might be true. I was going into this thinking like I might know too much about Magic to be able to like have this be interesting, and then was immediately humbled. So I think I could probably get you on the Yu-Gi-Oh, even though you've played it. I might be able to throw some curveballs, because I was going into this kind of like, I don't know, I'm like not super knowledgeable, but certainly I should be able to like do pretty well, and then it turns out I got like 50-50, so you know. But yeah, so we'll definitely do this again sometime. If nothing else, then we'll finish off the last half of cards that you guys already picked out, because then you guys don't have to do any more of that. So, but
Yep.
All right.
Thank you again for helping me out, and thank you to the viewers who watched this. I hope you enjoyed it. I had fun. And, I don't know. You guys have anything to plug? I don't know.
I'm gonna send some cool Magic YouTube channels in the chat for people who are interested
definitely.
in watching cool Magic the Gathering videos. Those are like 3 of the best. The Receivables has a podcast where they are going through every set from the start of the game and talking about the history of the game in order. And they're also both like big legacy players. Oh, I didn't even put Bosch and Roll. What am I doing? Ristic Studies and Spice 8 Rack, they do like video documentaries. Ristic Studies normally focuses on like the history of the game, the artwork, and that kind of stuff. And Spice 8 Rack does a bunch of like woke shit about the game. You know how it is. Really good vids. Bosch and Roll, I have to link in here as well. That's my man right there. If you want to watch actual gameplay of the game, that guy.
I would recommend the Card Market Magic the Gathering YouTube channel. I like to watch because they I found whenever I was getting into Magic, I found that a lot of people on YouTube were using a online client that wasn't Arena. I believe it's just called Magic the Gathering Online, right?
Yep.
And
Magic Online.
if you don't already know what the cards do, trying to watch somebody playing Magic the Gathering Online is like impossible. Like it's just, you can't, the text is so small and everybody's playing so fast, and it's like, I cannot figure out what is going on. So I really liked Card Market because they play on paper and they show you what the cards do. They explain the cards while they're playing them. It's like, oh, okay, I can actually understand what is happening.
Yeah, and they have a lot of editing. I felt that way about watching Magic Online content at first as well. Like, I only started watching Bosch and Roll like last year or so, but I got pretty fucking used to it pretty quick.
Yeah, I imagine, like, once you have a better grasp of, like, what the cards people playing do, it's easier to parse. But as somebody who is, like, new enough to the game that, like, people were just playing shit and not explaining what was happening, and I was just like, well, I mean, I guess they're playing Magic, but I'm not really learning anything about the game from watching this because I can't read what the cards do, because it looks like a fancy Excel document program. Like it looks so whack.
That's actually how I learned about a lot of stuff. Is I would watch modern gameplay, and even though I couldn't see what the card text was, I would just like see it
pause
and
the video and Google it, bro.
This is what it's doing. I can see what it's doing, so this is how it works.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so yeah, go check out some more Magic the Gathering content if you so please. If you thought these cards were cool. I don't really have a dog in the race. I'm not getting paid by Wizards or anything, so whatever. You don't have to play the game if you don't want to. Don't let me sway your opinion. But
and if you do play the game, check out Canadian Highlander. That's a cool format.
Check out One Piece trading card game.
Log's gonna plug One Piece. You can go play that game too. I don't know anything about it, but people say it's fun. Paper Magic is a bit expensive, and but you can play it on Tabletop Simulator if you want to do that. That's where I've played most of my Magic is just on Tabletop. So
it's very easy to play Magic online and for free. It's great.
It's really cool. Yeah. Only other thing I can think of is a couple streams coming up in the near-ish future. Number one will be I play Path of Exile, as people probably know, and it's about the time of the league where there's not really a point to doing anything in the game except for just like gambling, because like everybody has so much currency that they don't even know what to do with it. So I'll probably do a Path of Exile gambling stream. I'm sitting on about 100 fights worth of Uber Exarch, which doesn't mean anything to anybody who doesn't play the game. But if you do play the game, you know that I'm basically about to gamble a lot of money. So if you want to watch me either win or lose a lot of virtual currency, I'm going to be doing that maybe sometime, maybe even potentially tomorrow. Oh, no, wait, I can't do it tomorrow because Gur's thing is tomorrow. That's something I want to plug. Gur is doing he's doing like a subathon tomorrow in Gmod, so I'll be hanging out there. But maybe Sunday. And then Gex later this month. I will be playing Gex 3, and every time he says any reference that I don't get, I have to look it up on Wikipedia and read about it. So I'm trying to... I don't know when that will happen. I'm trying to...
Getting educated.
I'm trying to plan that for a time where a lot of my friends will be around so that I'm not just sitting there reading Wikipedia to myself alone and getting sad. So that will hopefully happen sometime this month. But other than that, I hope you all have a fun weekend. It's Friday night and you're watching me, so thanks. But maybe you should like go to a party.
Drink a beer. Woo!
Yeah, maybe I'll go drink something because I got 8 points out of 15. That's worth a glass of whiskey,
Passing
right?
grade, bro.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm going to go now. Thanks again, Mira. Thanks again, Log. We will definitely do this again sometime soonish. So, thank you, and have a great night.
Bye,
Hell
everybody.
yeah. Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.